and go.
Okay. Well, hi everyone, my name is Karen Simpson, and I currently work for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in their Chief Information Office on our LMS team, and I also lead a lot of our, I lead some of our departmental IT training programs as well. So I have a dual role. So Bill asked me to present on the concept of social learning, and this is a project that I led about 5 years ago when I was still with OPM. And it had a lot of great success, it had a lot of buzz, and it's funny, working in the e-learning world now, there's so much I've learned since then that if I were to go back and do this project, I'd still do a lot of the same things, but there's so many different tools and modalities I would add. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about too, is, you know, this project 5 years ago was a great success, and it brought a lot of buzz to OPM and the training community, but I think since 5 years ago, I've learned so much that, you know, I want to do this again and do it different. So that's what really I'm going to talk about today. So if we were to look at why we did this 5 years ago, nothing like this really existed in the federal government. So we wanted to pilot various different innovative training solutions to just, you know, and looking at, you know, at that time, and it's kind of a similar time where we're looking at workforce reductions, costs, you know, we're not going to have the money to do, you know, these expensive training classes. The world is changing. Even like in 2013, we had those sequesters. So again, we had a lot of budget cuts. So similarities were like, okay, how do you train people in a low cost, in a budget reduction environment? So we thought, well, we know we could look at this concept called social learning. And so what we really were looking at to see if social learning would make a greater impact to the transfer of learning back to the job. And that's really, you know, if you think about learning, I mean, why we do it, why we exist. I mean, we're really about performance improvement. You know, we want our employees to be better performers so they meet the mission, our agency's mission and goals. So that's what we looked at. And we partnered with, how many people are familiar with GOV? Okay. So, and they had the capability in 2013 to do what we wanted to do. So we had an agreement with them to work, that they worked with us. So, when you think about this, how are you going to recruit? We basically sent a note to chief learning officers through our listserv, and we had a registration through GovLoop, and we had like 97 people register, which is shocking, from 25 different agencies. So there was a lot of buzz and a lot of interest for people to participate. And we thought, okay, we're going to set the bar low, like 30 people, but we had 97. We're like shocked. So these are all the different agencies that people registered from. I won't read them. Okay, so what we wanted to do is take like an existing classroom course that was on HR University. HR University has changed since then, and we wanted to kind of take it and create a different modality with this classroom course. So we took this course called, it's a DoD course, Performance Management for HR Practitioners, and it was a 3-day course, so it was an extensive course. So what we did is we converted it into like bite-sized models, and over 6 weeks. And you can see, and they were just an hour, so they were like webinars, and each week you would have like a live webinar. We recorded it on these 6 topics. So, and another thing we did is we took different instructors from OPM at the time, and they did it for free, so they didn't have to charge us. And each week you had a different instructor. So you got to hear different, different teaching styles, different instructions, different, and these were performance management folks. So, their expertise. So it was you know, that gave the participants just a different flavor. So actually, I talked a little bit about the webinars. We had a live instructional webinar every week for 6 weeks. We also assigned readings on performance management. You know, GOV has so many different like articles that they had like a really extensive library. So I'm like, hey, we can just use this. So we would assign like a bunch of readings that they had to complete like every Wednesday. So we had the live webinar on Tuesday. The readings they should have been completed by Wednesday. And then what we also did Thursday is we had this like facilitated discussion through a forum. So if you go onto like a blog, you can just, you know, or a forum, you have someone there who will kind of like ask a question, and then you have all these people respond. It was really cool. You see all these different answers. And then they were supposed to partner up with somebody else to do, okay, what did you learn during the week and how are you going to apply it? So it really took it to the average participant time was about 16 hours over the 6-week period, which is really about like a two-day training session, in-person training session. So we even reduced that from a 3-day course to a 2-day course by this method. The other thing we were really interested in participant feedback. So, you know, we were asking for participants like peer reflection write-ups each week. We did some some usual Patrick level surveys. We did an immediate course survey. We also did a 60-day follow-up with these folks because we wanted to see how are they applying this learning, and then we did some focus groups. Probably about a little after 60 days. Okay, so the course participation. So 97 participants registered because it was free. 39 withdrew because of sequester, busy schedule. So it just the work just wouldn't allow them to continue to participate. About 58 remained, and about 34, which is about 59%, achieved satisfactory completion of the course requirements. So about 34 completed all the requirements, where some just completed some. And that's generally a very similar numbers where withdrawal rates range from about 20 to 50%. Since this wasn't a cost to the course, you see withdrawal rates a little bit more. These are just some of the, we were very pleased with the survey results. So about 86% indicated, which is a very high number, that the course of learning objectives were met. And we have about 79% state that their level of interaction in this course met or exceeded expectations. And about 75% reported that the information presented in the course was useful to the job. So these are very good numbers. We're very pleased with this. So the end result was employees were able to participate in this pilot without taking one or more full days of work away from the job. And that was really our goal. When you go to a classroom training, you're gone for a couple days. Now in today's environment, you always have your mobile devices available, so you're not missing that many emails. But again, you're not there working. You didn't have to fly anywhere or drive anywhere. You could do it right from your computer, either at your workstation, your office, your home. So we're looking for that. There's some cost savings there. And the other thing is, week by week, they were able to take what they learned each week and apply it back to their job. Because it wasn't like you're sitting in 3 days, and I know my attention span is like 2 hours, and then, especially with everything going on, they can go back, and it was only a couple hours a week. They can take that information back and say, ooh, I can apply this concept to what I'm doing right now. So really, increasing the transfer of learning was amazing to me. I'm like, wow, we got to keep doing this stuff. So we also asked for just written comments, and these surprised me about 5 years ago because this was still a little bit newer. So it's just and this individual looked at it from a supervisor. Hey, you can get supervisors to actually complete training instead of taking them away from their jobs for 2 to 3 days. And people really enjoyed the 6 weeks, the bite-sized learning over 6 weeks. And you know, they're like, hey, we want more stuff like this. So very, very pleased with the results. So as I mentioned before, we did this pilot 5 years ago, and then it drew a lot of buzz. So our work life group at the time had a course that they were interested. So I worked with them to convert their course, their regular classroom course that they give to the agencies, and into this format. And they were really happy with it. It had very, very similar approach with the webinar and the readings and the facilitated discussion through a forum, and then some sort of peer reflection. But I'll tell you this, the peer reflection didn't work as well as I wanted it to, because people on sometimes the Fridays, they were dead, they had AWS, they took leave. So a lot of times they didn't get to that. So that's what I found probably the least effective out of all the components. I mean, to do it again, I think what I would do is just have the folks kind of talk throughout the week, email or texting with them, and do some more reflection maybe right after the live webinar or right after the forum, instead of waiting till Friday. Kind of more, ongoing communication. So that's something I had to lesson learned, that do something like this now. That's what I would have to implement. So, like I mentioned before, this was 5 years ago, and the idea of this is still pretty new. Learning has evolved. A lot of our informal methodologies have evolved in 5 years. Wouldn't you all agree? Yeah. So I've thought about this, and Bill asked me to do this. I said, Bill, I did this 5 years ago.
Yeah. That's okay.
He's like, it's fine. It should be brought back. And I said, okay. I said, all right, I'm thinking about this for some of our, we're upgrading into, I said I worked a lot with I'm their learning and development expert on our learning management system team. I work with a lot of IT people, and which is fun. So I've continuously introduced this format to my colleagues, and they're interested. So when I look at a new learning management system, I look at, okay, we have a new generation of folks who are still coming in, the millennials are still coming in, and then we have these group after that with my little kid, my 10-year-old, my 8-year-old would actually be part of. It's Generation Z. And these folks are just, they know nothing but technology. And my kids learn on iPads. They do, math games. They do spelling games. They do complex problems through computers. This is what these folks, coming into our workforce 10 years from now, these are what these people are going to expect. So they're not going to want these types of, courses that are just an hour, click, 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 those type of courses, or just sit in a 2 to 3 day classroom, because they're going to sit there with their iPads and start doing other things because they're multitaskers. So this type of learning, will also, I think, it's just going to grow. I was having a conversation today with our chief learning officer, and she has also stated that classroom training is going in the rearview mirror, and we really need to embrace these non-traditional methods. So, and I brought this back up with her again. She was, yes, we need to do this. And I said, well, it happens that I'm talking to a group tonight on it. She goes, oh, good. So, I think this is also a good time, just with our budgets, and we're not going to be able to afford a lot of our, in the federal government, we're not going to be able to afford this type of real nice little 3-day classes that you send folks to. They come back, they're supposed to know everything. So, okay, how do you train people in a low-cost environment? Well, this is one method. There are others. But, so I thought about it 5 years from now. What would I do? Or what would I tell other organizations that are interested? So one thing I would say, if you have a current course that's potentially a classroom course that you've been offering and folks need, but they can't afford to take 2 to 3 days off because they're getting more work, people are leaving, they're not backfilling jobs. this is an opportunity for for anybody or an organization to look at it and say, okay, how can we still deliver this type of training, get the same results that we need, but have folks be able to complete it So that's what I would think about first when doing this. Do you have a course? Do you have a program that could be developed or modified? It doesn't have to be a 4-day, 3-day. It could even be like a 1-day. And say, okay, I need these folks to complete this. What's the best way for me to accomplish my goal? Okay. The other thing I would say is, you know what? We have so many different social media tools, and they keep like adding, and every week you hear about a new one. So how do you want to deliver this type of course using the tool that you want to use? So think about tools. I mean, there's so many different blogs you can use. There's so many different forums. I mean, I don't know if if your organization's LMS have like forum capability or video capability or something like that, or maybe not the LMS. You may have it through SharePoint sites or maybe some sort of other cross collaboration sites. I mean, there's so much you can do now. Adobe Connect is also, I don't want to promote any products, but these various collaboration sites, we use Adobe Connect. That's why I was like, oh, crap.
Have you used these platforms as part of your education program to allow students to connect outside the classroom or the actual
well, with my current job, yeah, we use mostly Adobe Connect. We also have SharePoint, where you can grab knowledge and information. We create SharePoint sites. The other thing is we have something called it's called USDA Connect, which is like a social learning site, a social Facebook site, and people can post stuff and you can pull information. So these are like more collaborative tools. We're moving into a new LMS platform, which is going to have capabilities to have like a blended learning approach. You can actually design a learning program. You can have, instead of just a whole bunch of online courses, you can have them do participate in forums or have a video or have articles available. So there's the capabilities are there, especially now.
It's called USDA Connect.
Yeah, and well, it's internal.
Because we're looking to field something exactly like that in the Department of Energy.
Okay, well, I can put you in contact with our program manager, who's in charge of that. So that's just a tip, some tips I'd give you guys. Make sure you have the tools. If you don't, go look around, because there's tons of tools out there. The open source community is just fascinating and has so much available. Yeah?
Yeah, one of the issues, I guess, because most of the agencies I work with have a security issue.
Yes.
And a lot of these open source tools are open source tools for a reason, because there are enough vulnerabilities in them that you can bring an elephant into it.
Yes, you can.
And nobody will notice that the elephant's there until it's too late.
Oh, yes.
So it's kind of how are you getting around the security features?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's when you talk to your security folks. And see, make sure your agency has access and allows the use of the tools that you want to use. Either if you have to go out contract for them or develop them in-house.
For me, it becomes an issue of creativity.
Yeah.
Because I'm limited in terms of, and I do a lot of compliance training, so it's like the most boring thing in the entire universe, and nobody ever wants to comply. But how do you make it, and I can make it pretty and I can make it engaging, but then I can't use my tools that I use with it because it's open source and they don't believe in cloud-based either.
Oh gosh,
they don't
want to
do cloud-based yet because there's security issues with that as well. So I was just wondering if you were dealing with that whole conglomeration of issues.
Well, most of the tools that I use right now are inside our firewall, so I don't bring in other tools to use. Or 5 years ago, we didn't have this issue.
Yeah.
Especially where I used to work too.
Oh yeah.
Bill knows.
Well, I have a question, because you mentioned Adobe Connect as your current one, but you're moving to another platform.
Oh, no. Adobe Connect is what we use to do virtual training or bring, kind of like collaborate presentations, stuff like that. That's separate.
Separate.
Yeah.
So you said that you're getting ready to go to a different system, though, and I know you don't want to champion any particular one, but could you mention that too?
Sure. We're moving to more of an open source solution. We're leaving the current government, Plateau, SuccessFactors, SAP, and we're going to something. It's a Canadian company called Totara.
So I think that's the Drupal distribution, right? Or not the Drupal, I'm sorry, Moodle distribution.
Yeah, it's a version of it, but it's not.
Right, but it's a controlled environment, so you don't have that open source.
Yeah, it's more controlled, but you can apply some open source techniques, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's true open source, and it can't be with all of our security.
It's one of these, like a lot of the other companies, like with Drupal, that's what I was thinking about, but they have these managed Drupal sites. So they handle it for you and take care of the security.
Especially now that federal regulations require, something called an ATO, authority to operate. You get that. If you don't get that, you're...
And a lot of the open source tools are manufactured in China, which is the other reason. China and Russia.
Yeah.
Are the two big players.
So, I don't know, but if you can contract for a certain collaboration tool, or you have access to it. I mean, that's why I put that little bullet in there. Is this something that you're interested in doing? There's tons of stuff out there. I'm not encouraging open source at all, so.
No, I think it's a wonderful thing. It's just, and in a school situation, people are less likely to hack a school. But if it's government,
they want to hack.
And if it's a big agency, then,
We should talk to now our colleagues at OPM, and they'll tell you. Just to encourage participation. You still have folks who are very resistant to this type of learning. They still want the traditional classroom, and they don't understand this, so they'll be like, what's this? Why? I just want to go to a class, sit in, and learn, and then go home. So, some of that still exists. I don't want to stereotype by generation, but, it exists everywhere. So that's just one thing to think about. Trying to encourage them. Say, hey, why don't we try doing this type of course? And just, give me your feedback. Because I had to do that a bunch of times in the pilot. I got folks who were like, I've been a classroom instructor for 20, 30 years. Why the heck should I participate in this? I said, just give it a try. Those are the folks that actually stuck through the whole thing. So, that's just one way to get people to participate. The other thing is I would really just evaluate. Because you really want their feedback. You want to see, evaluate before what they, the expectations are, what, some of their concerns, what they hope to get out of it, what they're looking for. During, of course, you would evaluate. You could, if you want to do kind of like a weekly format, you can do an evaluation each week. And then after, of course, you can do your smile sheets, and then follow up, 60 days later, and do some focus groups.
Right.
So those are just some tips that I have, like thinking about it 5 years later. Does anyone have any questions? I figured this one might take about 30 minutes.
What were some main challenges in open source learning, getting each other rather than
It was just new. So, having them actually do the assignments each week, I think, was probably the most challenging, because they're used to taking a course and then going away. If it's an online course, you spend an hour or so, then you're done. But this was, continuous. So it's that type of learning that was just new to them.
When you did the hour-long training, was it an hour of training? Was it broken up into 3 to 5 minute segments, 20-minute segments?
So it was an hour webinar. So it was just 1 hour live. Yeah, like a lesson.
Would you do it the same way now?
I'd probably limit it to 30 minutes. Yeah, I think an hour's too long.
Yeah, I'm working with somebody now, and basically they've said if it's more than 23 minutes long, they're gone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can make it. I can do ethics in 23 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, what I've learned is people do not want these long, I mean, even with a lot of the vendors that we have that do our, online content, and I've given them the feedback, and a lot of them are starting to, they're changing their course formats. I said, honestly, people do not want to review an online hour course anymore. I don't. If it's more than 20 to 30 minutes, I'm done. I don't want anything to do with it. So, or at least put it, one vendor we work with, they have it in like segments, so you could go to that particular topic, view that, and it's like 10 minutes, and then you're done. And then you can do it whenever you need to. So that's more like what they're looking for, more just-in-time, bite-size. So
yeah, I'm finding more and more people are asking for micro-learning because they've learned the words, in order to ask for it.
They understand what micro-learning is.
Bring it up on your, if you're doing something, you can bring it up on your cell phone, look up the topic, 3 to 5 minutes.
Yep.
You're good, you're done.
Yep. And that's another concept that I'm hoping to introduce to, more of that 3 to 5 minute topic. Let's say it's on ethics. You do an ethics training for 5 minutes each week, whatever you want to do. And then 5 minutes a week, 5 minutes a day, five minutes twice a week,
You're standing in the grocery line at Giant.
Yeah, you're looking at your
I
phone.
do it all the time. I'm looking at YouTube while I'm standing and waiting for.
Yep, it could be a YouTube video, it could be an article, it could be. People who are not learning today, they don't want to learn in a classroom. And I'm learning this, especially our technology people, they have no interest.
No.
They're like, really? I gotta go to a 3-day training? Are you kidding me?
And,
My whole population is cybersecurity, and that's exactly the issue of when the heck are we going to have time to go to training because we're busy dealing with intrusions, and how do you get the information, and that's generally the answer of 3 to 5 minutes. You're up at 3 o'clock in the morning anyway, auditing something, watch the video.
Yeah. So.
Any other questions?
You could always email me.
Okay, certainly. And this will be, and for you folks that missed this will be online. So we'll probably want to try integrating your PowerPoint slides with your voice on this, and I think it'll be kind of fun.
Okay.
It's a new tool with Microsoft called Sway.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so another authoring tool.
Yeah, awesome.
Great. So we'll go ahead and shut it down. That way we can speak freely.